Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Wednesday, August 6, 2025 and I'm Abdul Majid Alaan from Stark Industries.
And I'm Warid Ahmed, and we've got a packed show for you today. So, first up, Norway is going to review the world's largest $2 trillion oil fund over their Israeli investments. Secondly, Alaan has raised $48 million in Series A to grow its AI finance platform. And MGX, Abu Dhabi-based MGX, is eyeing a $25 billion AI fundraising to boost its Abu Dhabi tech goals, according to Bloomberg. And finally, Qatar has backed a Azerbaijan gas pipeline to boost power in northern Syria.
The very first story of the day is really interesting from a business perspective. Norway has directed its $2 trillion sovereign wealth fund, which is the biggest in the world, and then there's ADIA, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. These guys are investigating investments in Israeli companies following criticism that it may be funding businesses linked to Israel's Gaza genocide. Finance Minister Jens Stoltenberg cited the worsened situation in Gaza and the occupied West Bank as the reason for the urgent probe.
Now, the fund, the world's largest, holds stakes in 65 Israeli companies, totaling $2 billion approximately. Now, among them is a 2.1% stake in Bet Shemesh Engines, which is basically accused of maintaining aircraft used in bombings of Gaza. Now, the value of this stake has actually quadrupled since late 2023, since the genocide in Gaza has begun.
And Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store expressed deep concern over these revelations and has asked Stoltenberg to seek answers from Norges Bank, which manages the fund. The probe comes amid rising political pressure ahead of Norway's September parliamentary elections.
Now, since 2009, the fund's ethics council has recommended excluding 9 Israeli companies. Last year, it reviewed 20 firms tied to the Israeli occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. Now, despite this, Bet Shemesh Engines has not been blacklisted.
And the fund's CEO, Nikolai Tangent, said the Bet Shemesh investment was made through an external manager and is not on any exclusion list. Officials face the challenge of balancing public anger with diplomatic concerns, especially regarding relations with Israel and the US, as the Gaza genocide, the onslaught in Gaza, that continues. It's a very important story coming out. We usually end the show with these stories, but we wanted to start with it because it's a very big story that one of the largest sovereign wealth funds is rethinking their investment in Israeli companies, and a lot of them are mainly military service providers, military contractors, or some way related to the IDF or the genocide that is being carried out by Israel, the sad genocide. So it's really important that at least someone is thinking about it, talking about it.
No, and I think, like, you mentioning that point of this being the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world, worth over $2 trillion. I think that it's really great that Norway's leadership is stepping up and they're questioning where these funds are going. And, just on the topic of sovereign wealth funds, I do want to add that right now in the Middle East, the top sovereign wealth fund is Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. So it comes in 4th place, and then right after it, you have ADIA, so Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, and then you have Kuwait Investment Authority. But I think when it comes to this entire topic of, Norway's leadership, their prime minister, their finance minister stepping up, it really does bring me to this question of, how are businesses impacted when political leadership is getting involved? Do you think that involvement is necessary? Yes. I think in this case, it's 100% necessary. But the reason why I specifically bring this up, Majid, is because, just right before the show, I was looking into this video about Sameh Suarez, and he's basically the youngest of the brothers from the Suarez family, Egypt's richest family, Africa's richest family. And he was essentially talking about how, for his father, Ansi, Ansi Suarez, this is a very important man. This is a man who founded Arrescom. Arrescom is a very important company. They have Arrescom Telecom, which is led by Naguib, and then you have Arrescom Construction, which is led by Nasif, and Arrescom Development, which is led by Sameh, the youngest brother. But anyways, back to this guy Ansi. I think what got me about the entire story is that when he built Arrescom in Egypt, Majid, at that time, he was somebody who did not come from much, His family was a family of lawyers. He chose not to be a lawyer. He worked in agriculture. Then he made a company. And this company had 50,000 employees. But then what essentially happened is at that time, the leader of Egypt was Nasser. And the company was nationalized. It was taken away from him, and he just became an employee. Imagine founding something like that.
Yeah.
But this is what brings me to my point of, do you think that political leaders should get involved in business? Because at that time, Nasser is a really important president in Egyptian history. He was the second president, I believe, and he played such an important role in basically reclaiming back the Suez Canal at that time. It was called the Suez Crisis, and what happened is the Soviet Union got involved, the US got involved, and he basically reclaimed it from the French and the British. So that was a really important time. And me and you, we always discuss the Suez Canal. It is worth so much money. So Nasser doing that, reclaiming back the Suez Canal, that was great. But how can you reclaim people's businesses? And then you had Ansi, and you know what he did, Majid? Then he went to Libya. He went to Libya, and from there, I believe that's where he based all of his companies.
And then started.
And then when a third president came, Sadat, in Egypt, that's when he came back to Egypt. And things worked out really well for his businesses. He set up his 3 sons, and today these three sons, they live to tell the tale. But this is what brings me to my point of, it's like with political leadership, is it important for them to get involved? I definitely think that they can have really positive impact, where in the case of Norway, they're very much aware that there is a genocide in Gaza. No matter how well Norway's wealth fund is doing, we need to put a stop to it. So I think it's kind of like, do we need this involvement? Is this involvement necessary?
It is.
You think so?
The problem with business and politics, if you take the two terms and the categories, they are correlated. They are like 99.9999% correlated. There's like a 0.1% chance when your political leadership says something and then you don't do anything in business-wise. Also, country-wise, every country has laws, so laws are made by the political leadership. You have to follow the laws, whatever those laws are. As a business, you have to follow them. So it is correlated. The good thing that good leadership does is they take action, they go out, they make policies, one, which help businesses grow. Middle East, to be honest, again, we always come back to Middle East because the policies here are good. That is why everyone is coming here and investing here, opening their businesses, expanding their businesses here. You need to have a proactive, forward-thinking leadership which understands that not right now, but in 10 years, we will need these policies.
Yeah.
Likewise, Norway, they want to be, if we come back to the story, Norway wants to be on the right side of history when history is written after a decade or 2 decades. They want to be on the right side, and that is why they're thinking that, if our biggest sovereign wealth fund is invested in a country which is doing a genocide in another country and we invest in a lot of companies, 60 plus, I think, which are a part of the genocide and on the wrong side of history, we will be named. It's like someone getting funding from a VC or a fund which is wrong, and then eventually when history will be written, it will be said that this company, maybe a unicorn at that time, was funded by this person.
Yeah.
You go deeper, you find the connections. That is the good thing about Norway's leadership. That is the good thing about our leadership, the Middle Eastern leadership as well. Saudi Arabia, also very clear, we want a 2-state solution. UAE, anything happens, they put out a public statement from the royals, from the political leadership that we have, that this is wrong, this is wrong. And I think the whole world is waking up. Europe, to be honest, I'm not keeping them in the good books because at the start, for nearly 2 years, they were on the wrong side of the history. So whoever writes the history,
but imagine,
they will write that they were wrong.
They're definitely losing right now. Like, like with this Keir Starmer, right now, he is talking about how the suffering that is going on in Gaza, he's talking about the malnutrition that is going on. But in the end of the day, in the statements, he still refers to Hamas. And
Yeah.
with Keir Starmer, I think when I think of the UK, you know why they're losing, and their policies aren't actually benefiting them much. We're
Business
basically,
policies.
yeah, their business policies are not benefiting them, and this was my point about political leadership affecting business. 16,500 millionaires are actually projected to leave the UK
Yeah.
this year. That is a really big number. And the reason why this happened is because the UK basically dropped this tax called the non-dom tax. And what this tax is that essentially people from the UK, you only had to actually pay tax on what you earned in the UK. You would not be taxed on what you earn around the world.
Yeah.
So when they did, they made this entire announcement that we're going to drop this tax, you had someone like Nassif Suarez that was like, okay, I'm going to pack it up. Goodbye. I'm going to Italy. I'm moving my family office, NSF, to Abu Dhabi. I'm just leaving. And with him, 16,000 millionaires. And then you have that white guy, Fredrickson, who's also coming here. He sold his mansion. And so this is my point about like political leadership really influencing business. Now, I know that, it's politics, but it does influence things.
Yeah,
it does
a very
determine
big
who is coming to your country and
I think
who's
it's
leaving.
the biggest factor. Just go a little west again and see Mr. Trump doing whatever he is doing. Every decision that he takes affects the markets. Every decision, every statement. You saw where he commented on the jeans ad.
Sydney Sweeney.
He commented
That
on
is
the
really
Sydney-
inappropriate. I find it really
Yeah, but he
inappropriate.
commented and the stock shot up 13% that day for what was the brand?
American Eagle.
American Eagle. Why am I thinking Levi's? American Eagle shot up 13% that day. It is correlated. You can't keep them separate, but we try our best because we want to do business.
And
I think that is
it's
why we
also
do more
the-
startups.
I
No
think
political
it's-
things.
Not really, but I also think it's the fact that consumers, even if you wanted to solely be in business, they will not let you. Like I'll take Sydney Sweeney as an example. So just as Majid was saying, she basically starred in this American Eagle ad, and this advertisement went insane. She was like, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. So it was a bit, what would I say? A bit inappropriate, scandalous. And basically what happened is that American Eagle's shares are valued at an extra $400 million.
Yeah.
So that is a very big number here. You know what people did? This is obviously a win for the actress, Euphoria's actress. They basically went and found out that she's a registered Republican. And so this is what I mean, that even if you're a business person, you will somehow be tied to the political landscape that you're in. It will affect you in some way or the other. But, as Majid said, this is why we love to discuss startups, keep things light and flowing. And this is exactly why today we're bringing up the fintech Dubai-based company, Alaan, which has raised $48 million in a landmark Series A funding round, making it one of the largest for fintech in the MENA region. Now, the round was led by Peak XP Partners with support from Y Combinator and prominent regional investors.
And it was founded by ex-McKinsey consultants. That's the beauty of the story. Parthi Duresmi and Karun Kurian. Alaan offers an AI-driven spend management platform that simplifies finance operations. The platform is already used by over 1,500 teams, according to the startup itself. And some of the biggest clients include G42, Careem, Lulu Group.
And so Alaan's platform addresses regional finance challenges like complex VAT rules and manual reconciliation. Now, it has saved clients more than 1.5 million work hours and is profitable, generating $10 million in revenue from just $5 million in spending.
And the new funding will support Alaan's expansion in Saudi Arabia. That's one. And where transaction volumes are doubling monthly, the company plans to increase hiring across sales, compliance, and customer success to support the rapid growth.
So Alaan will also enhance its AI capabilities, focusing on automation rather than chatbots. So it is leveraging open AI integrations in its back end to streamline finance workflows, aiming to redefine spend management across the MENA region.
Yeah. The very funny story is that these guys were actually doing all this that they made the startup for. They were like, whenever we sat down and we had like 100 slips to finance, like, this spend, this spend, this spend. Like, we came up with that idea, and they left. They were at McKinsey. No one leaves a job at McKinsey unless you have such a great idea.
They all leave their jobs at McKinsey. Mazen Kannan, the founder of
Oh, yeah,
House
he
of
was there
Pops,
also?
ex-McKinsey. There's this other recent founder of this supplement company. It has not become famous yet, but he's also ex-McKinsey. So why do you think they're all competing with each other? They all used to be colleagues.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it
think
is.
it's the environment. It's like when you work at Apple, you work with such high caliber, high potential, evolved species, if I would say, entrepreneurially, like evolved species, that they're always talking about ideas. And I think these environments are breeding grounds for new ideas, because every day at lunch, anywhere where you're sitting with some new person or your colleagues, we're always talking about ideas. So these big environments, these big corporate companies, they're a very good environment to find high potential individuals. Talk to them about your idea, throw your ideas, bounce them back, maybe find a partner, and then start something. And that is why I think all these new companies that we see, they're coming from some corporate background where they hire the best talent, and then you sit with them and you discuss ideas, and eventually you come up with a startup.
You know, who did I hear this from before? I think I mentioned this, but basically there was this trend previously. The reason why I say previously is because we've obviously seen the scandals that have risen with the Big Four, but there's basically this trend of that if you work for the Big Four, if you work for McKinsey, for Deloitte, you end up being hired at the top of the top position in the next company, or you end up actually founding a company. And an example of this is the chief operating officer of Microsoft in the UAE. Her name's Maitha Al-Suwaidi. I know her, and she used to work for McKinsey. So for me, every single time I read ex-McKinsey, I'm like, wow. Okay, you all made it. I'm seeing a trend here. Would I go to McKinsey though? No, because I'm seeing the trend that's happening with the Big Four.
But everyone is leaving them.
Exactly. So I don't think I'd set myself up for that one. But you know, Alan, it is a great story. I think even more so the clients that they're working with.
Very big. Another part that was interesting in their press release was they had angel investors. So Hussam Arab, founder of Dhabi, he also invested. Mudassir Sheikha, the CEO of Kareem, he invested. There's another startup, PLEO, Pleo. Their founder was there. Talabad's chief product officer invested. So apart from the venture funds, they also got so much money from angel investors. And these are big names. So again, remember we once talked about raising or Series A, Series B, these announcements are more PR now than just telling, oh, we raised money. It's more marketing and PR. And with these big names as part of your fundraising, it becomes more prominent, obviously. Plus, all of them are clients. So Dhabi is a client, G42 is a client, Talabat, I don't think I read the name as a client list, but Kareem is a client. So imagine these people went to these companies and they pitched their idea, they bought the idea, so the business was using it, but then the CEOs and the founders were like, very nice idea, we should invest, and they became angel investors. So shows you the potential of the startup, that it will go on to do great things.
It is.
I think it's only been like 4 years, 2021 they started, 2 people, and now they're doing good.
And I think with especially having like, you know, angel investors like G42 that's chaired by His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon, they have really good funding that's available. Another company that's chaired by His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon, Abu Dhabi-based investment firm MGX, is now even going to have more funds. So they are basically planning to raise up to $25 billion from third-party investors to further build AI infrastructure.
And Abu Dhabi-based investment firm plans to raise $25 billion from third-party investors. Obviously, Bloomberg reported this exclusively, and Mubadala and G42 will remain the core backers of MGX, while MGX seeks global and UAE-based financial and strategic partners.
So this move marks a shift as Abu Dhabi aims to become a global AI leader. So MGX, backed by UAE National Security Advisor, His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon, he plays a really critical role in the country's $1.5 trillion investment ecosystem.
And MGX supports major AI ventures such as OpenAI, XAI, and they're part of a $30 billion infrastructure plan, which involves BlackRock, Microsoft, XAI. Musk also came in later in that fund. So they're raising external capital and which is a rare step for an Abu Dhabi investment entity.
So while no final decision has been made, MGX's plans align with ambitions to exceed $100 billion in assets. So the firm is also expanding its U.S. team to strengthen its global connections.
And if successful, MGX could establish one of the world's largest AI funds, boosting its influence in Silicon Valley, Washington, and global markets, further cementing Abu Dhabi's position in the global AI race.
I think when it comes to MGX, they're so important because of the fact that, they were a part of the funding of the $500 billion Stargate project by Sam Altman in America. They're part of most of the critical AI projects in the UAE, but much more so than that. The people that sit on its board are really leading all of this. You don't just have His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon, you actually also have Khaldoon Al-Mubarak. The group CEO of Mubadala Investment Company is sitting on the board as vice chairman, and you also have Peng Zhao. So Peng Zhao is a board member in MGX, and he is also, I believe, the group CEO of G42. And you know how you said that this entire fundraising round, Majid, was to have a closer relationship with Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
They already have a close relationship with Silicon Valley, and I'll tell you why. This guy, Peng Zhao, honestly, I was really curious about him because it's like, think of it like this. You have a room full of Arabs, and then Peng Zhao is there. And it's like, why did they choose to trust Peng Zhao? Why is he sitting in all of these boards? And even, by the way, for Space 42, he's a part of the board. So he is leading the helm for most of these companies. He's almost like His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon's right-hand man when His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon was visiting Donald Trump in Washington so that they could, sign up on this NVIDIA chip deal. Peng Zhao was there. Peng Zhao used to work for this company called MicroStrategy for 15 years of his life. And if you want to know what MicroStrategy is, it's like this it's this business intelligence software company. And MicroStrategy actually worked with companies like Microsoft, like PayPal, like Meta. So this man, if you think about it, he's all over Silicon Valley. These are his people. So the fact that he is now working in the UAE, leading the mission here that he once used to lead for all of these giants, it's like that is exactly why the UAE is doing it right. They have a person like Peng Zhao on their side.
I've realized over the years that whenever I see a top position being filled by someone, I try not to see where they've worked. I try to see the people that they know. So the example that you gave, the places that he's worked at, it's not important he worked at Microsoft. It's important that he knows people at Microsoft. So whenever you see a higher appointment, you will see that it's based on how many people or how many, for example, if it's a business and you need clients for that new business, how many people does he know who will be our potential future clients? That is what Peng Zhao is. He knows literally everyone and anyone. And to be honest, as soon as he joined G42, there was another star added to his kitty. It's not just that he came and we hired him only for G42 and G42 elevated because of his presence. It's actually a two-way street where both of them from each other's presence gained a lot. To be honest, G42 is one of the biggest companies right now in AI in the world. If you say top 5, I wouldn't say that it's a lie. G42 is one of the top 5 AI companies.
They are in charge of building Stargate, Dhabi, by the way. And I think with this entire fundraising round, according to Bloomberg, that MGX is trying to lead, I think it's so critical, Majid, because remember that report that we both looked into, how the NVIDIA chip deal that was signed when Donald Trump came here in May, it has still not been approved by the Republicans, I believe, in America. And the UAE, it does remain very hopeful that the UAE is going to receive that order, but it has still not come. And I think the fact that, this might maybe be a possibility and that they're building towards more, they're raising more funds, is telling you that they are not at all reliant on America, on Jensen Huang. There are so many options that they can go for.
The last thing that I noticed throughout the story is very interesting because Abu Dhabi and the sovereign wealth funds, they are known for using their own money, be it oil money, be it dividends from their investments, be it the money that they've invested in startups, they doubled, they sold, whatever money they made, they always made from their own money. This time, this story specifically, they're raising money from whoever they can. And this is the first time they're acting like a fund manager, not like the fund who is being managed by others. So they are raising that money and they will use that money to invest wherever they want. So people are actually looking at MGX, looking at their investments. They're like, oh, they invested in this, this, this. They have a really nice strategy. So MGX was like, okay, since we have such a nice strategy and all our investments are paying off, we will build a fund, we will take money from investors, and we will see how we can manage that money for them. And obviously you take your cut out of it also. So it will be very interesting if it happens and we see something happening. It'll be very interesting. It will be a new model of a sovereign wealth fund acting as a fund manager. So very good case study if it happens. And the next story is Qatar. Azerbaijan, Turkey, it involves a lot of countries, but Qatar is financing a pipeline to supply natural gas from Azerbaijan through Turkey to northern Syria. This initiative aims to ease the country's severe power shortages, Syria, which currently leave residents without electricity for up to 20 hours daily.
Now, this is Doha's third major effort to improve Syria's electricity supply. Earlier, Qatar supplied gas via Jordan and invested $7 billion in 4 gas plants and a solar farm involving Qatar, Turkish, and U.S. firms.
And Qatar's backing of Syria's former, the guys who actually threw Bashar al-Assad down, has also translated into business investments. Qatari food company Baladna plans to invest $250 million in dairy, juices, plastics, and water treatment plants in northern Syria.
We'll get into that more later. And reliable electricity is really vital for these industries. The new Azeri gas pipeline is expected to increase power availability in northern Syria, but electricity supply will still be limited to about 5 hours a day.
And this move highlights Qatar's strategic role in supporting Syria's economic recovery through energy projects and business investments, despite ongoing regional challenges and instability.
I think
Qatar is like the best friend that Syria, everyone wants right now. Trust me, they're doing so good. I know, to be honest, there is a school of thought that thinks they're doing just to make investments in the country because it's ripe for investments right now. There is political stability now. There is a lot going for Syria. But apart from that, they even backed them when there was nothing happening. So it's a friend that you need. Qatar is the best friend that Syria can get. And I think Saudi is also a distant good friend in this case.
You know what it is with Qatar too? I think if you take a look at their past, I think that they completely understand what a blockade can mean for a country. And
they went through it.
They went through it, and it's great that they're supporting Syria. They're paying the public sector wages. Saudi Arabia is part of that too. But just back to this entire story of this pipeline, I think what I'm most excited for is actually see the Baladna founders back in Syria. So the Al Khayyat brothers are the founders of Ramiz and Muhtaz. They are the founders of Baladna. In origin, they are actually Syrian. But if you're wondering why are they Qatari, why do they have the Qatari passport? It's because during the blockade, I believe back in 2017 or 2018, that Qatar was undergoing in the GCC region, what essentially happened is that Qatar lost like 90% of its milk supply. I remember I was telling you this, Majid. And what these brothers did, Ramiz and Muhtaz, is that they had shipped, I believe, over 4,000 cows from America all the way to Qatar. They set up Baladna as a subsidiary. They have other companies too, and they are now the largest suppliers of milk for Qatar. And I believe even at that time, Majid, there is a Sudanese company. It's called Halib Kabu. Halib Kabu, I believe it's led by Dal Company. It's a company by this Sudanese tycoon. His name is Osama Dawood. He's one of the richest men in Sudan. I believe they also had supplied Qatar with milk back then. I've heard rumors of that. But back to the point, these brothers, they have a huge reputation in Qatar. And the fact that they put in this $250 million investment in Syria, you really have to ask yourself, Are they going to move to Syria now? How are they going to set up base there? And I think
At least they
that's something
moved
I'm really
business there.
excited to see.
Yeah, they're moving business there, and it's a very nice sign that even if they don't move physically or the whole of their business and make it the headquarters, they're moving some part of it. Just before we wrap up, Saudi Aramco CEO, we need to. I thought we should do something about the earnings that are happening, but Saudi Aramco yesterday they announced their earnings. 10th straight quarter where their profits have gone down. But just to tell you, Saudi Aramco CEO is optimistic. He's like, the oil prices will go up. So if you're into markets, you can go to our socials, go to our newsletter. Worth will tell you all about it, how you can do that.
Yeah, and that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. A big shout out to our 2.5 million monthly listeners across all platforms. We're targeting for 10 million, and you are the guys who can make this possible. Share it with your friends, family, whoever you can, if you like what we're doing. Also, Lovin is celebrating their 10-year anniversary. Lovin Dubai brand, which is our sister brand under the Augustus Media Network, the Augustus Media Company. We have a podcast network, so I always get confused. But yeah, you can use hashtag send it to Lovin. Send it to Lovin Dubai, and you can send your stories. It's a very nice thing that we're doing. We're doing one story each day about what happened in the last 10 years. Very interesting. Go to Lovin Dubai, follow that. And obviously, keep following Smashy Business. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.